All right. Hi, Keith.
Hi, Helen. How are you?
I'm terrific. I hope you're staying safe and healthy.
Likewise, same to you and your family.
Thank you. Well, I appreciate you being in constant communication over these last several days as things are moving at lightning speed, with a lot of information being exchanged. So, I thought that I would go straight to the expert and, appreciate you making the time. I think that there was obviously a big piece of legislation that was just passed, and there's so much information out there. I thought that I should, kind of take the opportunity and have you share with many of our small business owners, business leaders, and folks that are really struggling out there right now just to try to keep their businesses open and moving forward, kind of your best advice and what things that they should actually take action on immediately.
Thanks, Helen. Thanks for the opportunity. Yes, big piece of legislation passed today. It was signed into law by the president, over $2 trillion relief package. And as I've been telling my friends who I've been working with who own restaurants, this relief package really, in my mind, targets their industry, small business owners. It has several components, including a small business loan, which is a traditional loan with low interest rate, 30-year fixed mortgage payment, let's call it. We believe, although we don't have all the details yet, that the typical stringent requirements under that are going to be relaxed a little bit, given this is part of a relief effort. It does require collateral, and it does require a 20% shareholder traditionally. That could be relaxed as well. One of the key components is the CARES Act component, which I just was speaking with some business owners today about, and that will provide 8 weeks of payroll, mortgage, utilities, and rental reimbursement to small business owners, specifically restaurant owners, for instance, so long as they retain their personnel. Now, there is a carve out relative to that. If they dismiss personnel, they have to bring them back, but we're working through the details of that. But this could be a real game changer for restaurant owners specifically who are on the brink of having to shutter or go dark, especially in cities like Los Angeles, where I reside, where there are stay-at-home owners orders, and they've seen their business drop by 85, 90%, limited to takeout orders. This could keep the lights on for these businesses. In addition to keeping the lights on for the business owner, it also keeps all their staff, personnel employed and having paychecks during this rough spot. So those are two critical components of the relief package.
Yeah, I think, I've heard the same, and they are, trying to hang on and doing everything they can from, hours reductions to, honestly having to lay off parts of their team. Right now, I've heard everything from, we're 30% down, 50% down to 80% down in business. And so if I'm one of those business leaders, I mean, what is the right next steps, Keith, to ensure that they're getting a chance to access some of these, just being able to access some of these funds that are going to be available?
Sure, that's a great question. First, I would recommend they go to the SBA website under disaster loans. Critical component is applying online if they're looking at a business loan, and currently it's up to $2 million of a 30-year fixed loan they could receive. I would recommend they title it COVID-19 or coronavirus in their application, so it's earmarked. That would be the first step. The second step is if they're looking for the 8 weeks under the CARES Act, they should go right to their bank, whoever they do business with, speak with the bank manager or a representative from their local branch to see if they're an SBA lender, 7A lender. If they are, it appears they're going to qualify to provide the funds under this CARES Act. One of the critical components of the CARES Act as part of the legislation is to get the funds out there quickly. Unlike the SBA loan, which I just was speaking about, that could take time for the funds to come out. The goal of this CARES Act is immediate funding. So versus going through the SBA administration to apply for a loan, the goal would be for a restaurant owner or a small business to go to their local lender, fill out the application next week, and get that funded with either same day or within 24 or 48 hours. So they could pay their rents, they could pay their utilities, they could pay their staff. So those would be the two immediate steps I would take. I would next look at their business interruption policy. I would file a claim under that. It's really important to file a claim under that. Although the carrier might deny coverage because it's a pandemic, it's important to file that coverage. As you were kind enough to send me an article earlier today, Thomas Keller and his restaurant group actually filed suit against their lender. And we believe, we have reason to believe that the feds and states are going to be stepping in potentially to backstop those policies. So you want to make sure you file a claim under your business interruption policy so you're not potentially precluded from taking part in any recovery or relief efforts down the road for failure to put your carrier on notice. So those would be the three immediate steps I would take.
Yeah, I know that you and I talked about one, so I think we'll probably go with a fourth one, which is some of the. I mean, we're getting ready to go into April here; it's around the corner. We talked a little bit about, speaking with landlords and kind of seeking some type of either abatement, deferral. I mean, what's your advice on that?
Yeah, and that's a great question. Absolutely. Speak with the landlord, see some form of rent relief, whether that's abatement, whether it's reduced rental, whatnot. We've seen recently huge restaurant companies, Cheesecake Factory as an example, 300 units. They've sent notices to all 300 landlords that they will not be paying April rent. And it looks like they're not going to be paying rent in the foreseeable future as this pandemic plays out. We've seen Wendy's indication. Wendy's has done that for its franchisees and its company-owned locations, as well as Subway restaurants. So I would recommend going to your landlord. You won't be the only tenant going to your landlord in a situation like this. They more than likely expect you to come knocking on their door. And you're absolutely right. Rent is due next week. Speak with your landlord. Tell them the situation and see what they have to say. But I would certainly seek some sort of rent relief, given this is a pandemic, and especially for longstanding tenants who have been paying their rent on time, landlords should give some sort of leeway. If we want to add the fifth component, here in California, the governor announced yesterday that he has negotiated with 4 major banks in the state of California to defer mortgage payments for 3 months. So if a restaurant owner has a mortgage on the property, on that dirt, they should be speaking with their lender about that. They probably will be able to defer that for 90 days or maybe longer by speaking with their banks.
Yeah. No, I mean, Keith, it's wonderful. I know we've talked so many times and you've been spending endless hours helping friends and restaurant owners navigate some of this information, but it's just constant communication coming our way. So I appreciate you actually, taking the time and sharing this with our audience. I will absolutely push this out on all forms of media. My heart goes out to kind of our industry and just want a speedy recovery. We'll bounce back stronger. And I really appreciate your time, Keith.
And thank you, Helen, for giving me the opportunity. And thank you for everything you're doing to help the hospitality industry, restaurant industry as well. I appreciate it.
Just looking to bring my team back alongside of me. So well, I look forward to it. I hope you have a wonderful weekend and we'll talk soon.
You as well. Thanks again, Helen.
Okay.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.